Buffalo Niagara RIVERKEEPER, and this is my river, the mighty Niagara.
This is where it all began. In the 1960s, LBJ visited the Buffalo River, and citizen activist Stan Spiesiak confronted him with a smelly bucket of sludge. LBJ and then Governor Rockefeller promised the river would be cleaned up. 20 years later, when nothing had been done, a coalition of concerned citizens formed the Friends of the Buffalo River to take back their waterway. As a result of Friends of the Buffalo River activism, the Buffalo River and the Niagara River were designated as Great Lakes Areas of Concern. Those citizens continued to push and created the first remedial action plan in partnership with the state of New York for the cleanup of the Buffalo River, which was littered with industrial toxins from our growth prior to good environmental protections. The cleanup has continued to evolve, with several hazardous waste sites being remediated, ongoing Buffalo River brownfields cleanup and remediation, and the creation of urban canoe trail, pocket parks, and access sites, as well as habitat recreation. Today, the Buffalo Niagara RIVERKEEPER serves as the nonprofit manager for the remedial action plan, assuming a role that was once occupied by the New York State DEC. Buffalo Niagara RIVERKEEPER has been working for about 20 years to establish a greenway along the Buffalo River to recover old industrial lands and restore them for use for habitat, recreation, water filtration, and a buffer for the river's edge in terms of habitat. In 1990s, we actually took that battle for a greenway right into the courtroom in fighting a new economic development project for the city of Buffalo that really didn't appreciate the need to protect waterfront lands for water-dependent uses or ecological value. We fought Iron Mountain's record company in putting a warehouse along the last dance of forested floodplain in the city of Buffalo. We came to a settlement agreement that provides 3 acres of habitat back for the river, but also allowed the project to move forward.
I actually put the bottle into the water testing stick and tighten it down. And we use these sticks actually help us get the sample, particularly when we're in an area that's difficult to reach from shore. They help us get a good sample. So now he's going to remove the cap, and it's really important when we remove the cap that we don't touch the inside surface of the cap or the rings of that bottle, because we don't want to contaminate the sample with any bacteria that might be on our hand. Now Tom's going to get the sample from the river. This is Buffalo River, so we're sampling at our site at Buffalo.
We run a summer program of eco-tours, including hikes, bikes, and paddles, during which our guides explain the history, nature, and dynamics of area waterways. We participate in and present a number of public meetings. Shown here is our annual Buffalo River Summit, in which we update the community through a State of the River address. Shoreline cleanups not only remove litter and debris, but also raise awareness in the community. New environmentalists are born out of such experiences, and longtime activists often find themselves reinvigorated and inspired by the work. Earth Day weekend 2008, we organized about 1,000 volunteers at 32 sites throughout our watershed. We organize shoreline tree plantings that are partnerships with local municipalities, businesses, organizations such as this City High School Green Team, and individuals. Through our environmental justice program, our team walks the banks of local rivers, making contact with low-income and minority anglers, recruiting volunteers, raising awareness for those who are most impacted by pollution in our waterways.
On our river is the operation of some of the world's largest hydropower generating facilities. Behind me is the Robert Moses Power Project that had its first construction in the 1950s. And RIVERKEEPER worked really hard between 2002 and 2007 on the relicensing of this facility. And that settlement agreement resulted in almost $1 billion in mitigation and funding back to the community to offset the impacts from this incredible hydropower facility. That's just one of our hydropower plants. There's a mirror facility on the Canadian side of the river which is going through a massive expansion, and because of the binational management, we face particular challenges in how those projects are coordinated. And just recently, we've had 3 new applications to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission for hydrokinetic projects in the Niagara River. And these are an entirely new technology, and we're dealing with private companies, unlike our public facilities here, And so we're looking at a whole range of new impacts on habitat and water quality and public access to this magnificent waterways. We thought we were most of the way done, and now we've got a whole nother round of projects to deal with. Our founding organization was created in 1989 in response to the designation of the Buffalo River as one of the Great Lakes' most toxic waterways. And we existed for 15 years before we joined the Waterkeeper Alliance in 2005. Since we joined the Waterkeeper Alliance, the most rewarding portion has really been in learning from other keeper organizations and understanding that we have a peer group of people who are just as dedicated to being a stern advocate with excellent technical skills and an incredible passion and dedication to the work. The most challenging part has been, of course, carving out time from our daily schedules to make sure that we learn from other organizations and collaborate in a way that is strategic and effective over the long haul versus just waging short-term battles. Compared to other organizations in our region, we are the strongest voice for this river. We hold most of the region's institutional knowledge about the health of this waterway, and so we are very much so both technical experts as well as strong advocates, and that really distinguishes us from people who are only willing to do the feel-good work. Besides the global and regional threats to the Great Lakes, a number of local water quality problems are really preventing community use of these beautiful waterways. Behind me is the entrance to our local sewer treatment plant. This is just one of dozens of facilities on both the U.S. and the Canadian side of the river that dump millions of gallons of raw sewage into the Niagara River every year. The biggest threat to the Niagara River is people, both in the way that we develop our lands and how we treat our water and where we dump our waste, and that's our biggest challenge in cleaning up our watershed. I'm incredibly lucky. I live in one of the most extraordinary places on the planet. Not only are we right on the edge of 90% of North America's water, a fifth of the world's freshwater surface supply, but we also are on the edge of this magnificent falls, an international migratory bird corridor in the most bio-important area in the state of New York. This is an incredible place, and I am humbled and blessed to be a keeper for this magnificent river.